with this distribution having been held into both parts, when by kata and by the first orders, it was being resisted fiercely, or rather fiercely. Sabinus says, basically like conquer, but maybe meaning something like go ahead. So conquer if you thus wish. And this thing in a more clear voice, so that the great part of the soldiers might hear, he says, neither am I he who most seriously out of you all, by the danger of death, may be terrified. So he's saying, I'm not the one who's scared of death. These ones will know. So these ones, as in the soldiers around, he's saying it really loudly, like an immature kid, so that everyone else can overhear the argument. These ones will know if anything will happen, or will have occurred more grave. From you, they will seek the reason, who, if through you would have been allowed, so if they were allowed through you, or by you, on the day after tomorrow, with the neighboring camps joined together, the common destruction of war, a common downfall of war with the rest, they would be able to sustain. Not relegated or like left behind. This one's relegated. So not driven back and relegated long off, or like long away from the others, either by iron or the sword, either by the sword or by famine. They may die, or they would die. So he's saying, like, basically letting the other soldiers hear that, and it's hard to defend yourself when someone says this kind of thing nice and loud, so that everyone can hear, and it's a really immature thing to do as well. They arise from the plan, or it is arisen from the plan, but less literally, they arise from the council. They grasp each one and they beseech, lest by their dissension and by their stubbornness the matter into the highest danger they may lead. So they beseech them to just not argue. The matter easy to be, and they say that the matter is easy if they were, whether they remain or if they set out, but only one. But that all should sense one thing, or all should think one thing, and approve, so that everybody, the matter will be safe as long as everybody agrees on one thing. Against this, in the disagreement, no safety to see for themselves. So in disagreement, there's no safety. The matter in disputation to the middle of the night is drawn out. Finally, Kata gives hands, having been thoroughly moved, so that's like he throws up his hands. The thought of Sabinus conquers. It is announced at first light that they would go. Consumed, the rest of the remaining part of the night is consumed with wakefulness, because each soldier looked around for his own stuff, like his own stuff. What with him he would be able to carry, and what, or he might be able to carry, and what what from the instrument of wintering he would be compelled to leave behind. All think on on why neither without danger they would stay. So they're thinking, like, why would they need to leave so quickly, and why couldn't they just stay without danger? And with the weariness of the soldiers and with wakefulness, they would undergo danger, or the danger would be increased. Sorry, is it? Yes, increase their attitude. At first light, thus from the camps they set out, as those who, so this should be an ablative, as those who are persuaded not by an enemy, but by the most friendly man, Ambiorix, to have been given a plan. most long battle line and with the greatest baggage, so lots of stuff on their shoulders and stuff there. It's not very good for them to go in a long line and weighed down with all kinds of stuff. And they're going as if they were men who were convinced by a most friendly person, not by an enemy. But the enemy, or the enemies, afterwards from the nocturnal noise, or like the noise at night, and the wakefulness, concerning the setting out of them had sensed, so they sensed the setting out of them, concerning the setting out of them, with all the tricks, or with all like the ambushes having been placed on both sides in the woods, in a most opportune, or like a most fitting and hidden location, by the soldiers, or from the soldiers around 2 miles away. They were expecting the arrival of the Romans, so the Gauls hid themselves on both sides of this forest along the trail, and they were waiting for the Romans to come. And when themselves a greater part of the battle line into the great valley had sent, so when the troops came down into the great valley, and the Gauls were waiting on both sides, from both parts of that valley, suddenly they showed themselves, and the ones who are most forward, actually the ones who are most backwards, I think, because they're the ones who have the newest ones arrive last, so they begin to press the ones at the back of the line, and the first ones they stop from ascending, and in a most inopportune place to our men, the battle, they began to commence. And then finally Titurius, who nothing before had foreseen, to fear and to run back and forth and to put together the cohorts, probably like began. These very things themselves, nevertheless, timidly. So he was doing these things timidly, and as if they were all things seem to fail him. So he's not in good shape here. He's doing everything as if all things seem to fail him. Which thing very much to those is accustomed to happen, who in the work itself, or like kind of like here the work would be the battle. So in the work itself, are compelled to take up a plan. So if you're caught up with a plan the last minute during the battle itself, this kind of thing happens to you, as is listed up there. But Kada, who had thought these things to be possible on the journey, who had thought it possible for these things to happen on the journey, and because of that reason, he was not the author of the setting out, so he was not one of the people who wanted to set out. So this guy, he was not failing, or he was not lacking in any. He was lacking in no common thing for safety. So, or maybe actually, let me change this. So he was lacking in no thing for the common safety. That might be better here. And both in the calling and exhorting of soldiers. So both in calling, exhorting soldiers, of a general and of a soldier in the fight, the duties he was excelling in. So he's excelling both in the duties of a general and in the duties of a soldier in the fight. And because they could less easily attend to all things through themselves. So because they could attend to all things less easily through themselves, on account of the longitude of the battle lines, because when everyone's really spread out, you can't do everything well. And they could less easily attend to what in each place was to be done, and they were less able to see forward, or to see all the parts. Because of this, they ordered to be pronounced that baggages they should leave behind, and they should stand together into an orb, or into a circular formation to defend themselves.